All right, it's just Blane and Courtney Pearl right here with a show called Parallel Frequencies, I guess. Is that what we're rolling with, Courtney?
Who we're rolling with.
I love it.
I love.
I love it. And there wasn't another one out there named Parallel Frequencies. If you guys out there haven't caught on yet, it looks like me and Courtney Pearl, Coco maybe, we might even go by Coco at some point. It looks like we've started a daily show, am I right? Pretty much?
I'm
Just
here
simple
for
as
it.
that. I'm here for it too, and I think a lot of people will be because we got a lot of good feedback on the Ghost Movie Project and the Witch Movie Project, and what put us over the edge here to do this was our Stranger Things recaps. I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of fun watching 38 hours of Stranger Things or whatever it was, and then talking about it with you because there's not a better show out there to me. There might be, but we'll get into that later. But to me, this one is incredible.
Get to watch our favorite shows and then chit chat about it, and that's a job. Yeah, I'm here for it. Sign me up.
Did you watch Stranger Things season 5, episode 1 yet? You saw it.
I did.
Did you?
I did.
This is not a spoiler, and we're not gonna do Stranger Things season 5 yet. We'll break that down.
Oh, it's coming.
We'll do it closer to when it's about to end. Today we're gonna do Stranger Things season 1 overall, not the recap. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. But before we do that, I got to get to this number because in Stranger Things season 5, episode 1, cool moment background. There's a poster of Elle, Jane, and a phone number, right? The phone number, let me just say this. Netflix could have put a 555 number in there like any other movie. Doesn't go anywhere. They give us a real number. It's 765-303-2020. And if you call this thing, 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Now, I love this Easter egg. Seriously, because the amount of work that goes into that and the thought and all of that comes together to make a great experience for the viewer at home. Am I right? Like, that's cool to me.
Yeah. And I think does it mention Indiana? I remember hearing that, thinking I grew up in Indianapolis. Like, that's where I'm from. So it made me think of like calling my friends back home or like getting in touch with my Indiana friends and folks. That's what it made me think of. I was like, aw.
The 765 area code is an Indiana area code. Mm-hmm. So they even made sure they didn't use an LA number or something wherever Netflix is located, headquartered. They used an Indiana phone number to make this recording, and the recording sounds awful, like it would in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah.
It does. And I love that. I think that attention to detail is what makes Stranger Things this global phenomenon that it is. Before we get to that, though, there's a couple other TV shows I'm watching right now. Pluribus. Have you seen this yet?
I've seen the previews for it. I've seen it like popping up,
Now,
but no, I haven't watched it yet.
I kept seeing it, and I was like, I'm not going to, maybe I'll get to it at some point. I don't know what I was thinking, because when Vince Gilligan's name is on there, the guy that made Breaking Bad, you should turn it on. Mm. You should put it on, because it's about to be something that's a whole other experience. It's going to be out of this world, out of your mind. You're going to have to think when you watch something this guy makes. Now, I got caught and I got hooked on Pluribus, and now I'm all caught up. I think there's 6 episodes deep. You haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, and anybody out there listening, we are going to talk about this show. Me and you are going to break this thing down.
It's on my list. Yeah.
It's an incredible watch. You guys got to check it out. It's on Apple TV. My other favorite show right now, I keep saying this is Stranger Things for adults. And I know that sounds crazy because if you watch Stranger Things, it'll shake you up, man. It'll get you scared a little bit, and it'll make your neck tingle or whatever Will Byers happens, Yeah,
that.
Stranger Things for adults is Welcome to Derry.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. I'm gonna talk about. I gotta watch this thing with the lights on in the daylight. Like it's creeping up there to be one of the scariest things that you've ever seen, and it ties all of it's. I'm not giving spoilers, but it starts tying in other Stephen King stuff, and you're like, I jumped up out of my seat. You got to catch up on this. They're close to the finale. 2 episodes left. The penultimate episode this weekend, and then the finale next weekend. It's gonna be I can't wait. It keeps me up at night. Nightmares.
All those things on my list. I've been taking a little break since our ghost movie project, and as we've been going through Stranger Things for the recap and everything like that, I've been trying to bounce around to some more feel good, more pleasant things. I have to cleanse my palate between things so that I can be ready for horror again.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, I've been dabbling here and there with different things. But then we were also watching the Ed Gein story on Netflix monster series, and we watched the Jeffrey Dahmer one that they did, and I don't know what kind of morbid fascination we have with people that are actual monsters that existed, real life people who existed that did such horrible things.
Yeah.
But there's this like morbid fascination with what makes people do the things like that. So that's what's been on my list lately.
It always intrigued me. I did a lot of papers in college on serial killers and this and that. And I think it was just it wasn't like I was giving them fame. It was more like I wanted to know what was going on inside their head. So it was that kind of, it's wild. It's really bizarre how they're wired differently than most.
Yeah.
Let's talk about,
for sure.
let's talk about happy stuff. Let's talk about happy stuff because we're in December now. The holidays are here. Christmas Vacation. Did you know that it came out, 38 years ago this week?
Insane.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought it was longer. I don't know why. I feel like it's been around since the beginning of time, even though we just saw Chevy Chase over at FanX this year. We didn't get close to it.
I was going to say, yeah, the crew was all there.
Eddie?
I am blanking on names.
Cousin
Beverly
Eddie?
D'Angelo and Quaid. Yeah, we didn't get to talk to them, but we brushed by. We were like, they're there. They're over there.
They had quite a line. But yeah, that movie, I can't believe, came out 38 years ago this week. Because it does seem like longer to me, even though I'm not much older than that. I mean, I don't know. I don't have concept of time, right?
It's a classic, though. It's one of those that we watch every Christmas. It kind of sets the mood for Christmas time. Makes me think, maybe the holidays with my family isn't so stressful if it's not as bad as this. It's not as bad as what's going on with Clark Griswold in his life. But I associate Clark Griswold with my dad somehow because it was like that generation or something. And it's a classic. We watch it every year.
I think every man out there has a little Clark Griswold in him. Like I do. I think it's in him. I think it's in all of us. We've got that in us to where, especially around the holidays, because a lot of it is us just kind of looking back and watching. It's a spectacle. Most of these holiday movies have that kind of stuff, that chaotic moment. Home Alone, like the beginning of Home Alone, I think that's a great scene just because of the chaos going on. You know, you're like,
yeah,
how do they leave a kid at home? But you see what's going on? Yeah, it could happen. And they count him from behind. They
make it believable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could happen. A lot of other stuff, maybe not so much. But you know what I was watching the other day is in Christmas Vacation and a lot of those holiday movies that are classics now because they've been around for so long. I'd never seen Miracle on 34th Street, not the 1947, but the newer one. And just like Christmas Vacation, you're watching it and you see people that you're like, oh my gosh, they're really famous now.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're in stuff now that you know their face, you know their name. You see that we do this game where like the first person to spot Donald Trump in Home Alone 2, like gets a prize or something in our family.
I love it. I love
right?
it. People have been shouting out things that some of the celebrities we've talked to have been in. We put a John Ratzenberger interview out the other day, and somebody commented. They said, "I just saw him in Superman 2," and I was like, "See, this guy is in everything. It's wild."
Didn't know he was in that. That's amazing. I agree that. I
had no clue that John Ratzenberger, Cliff Clavin was in Superman 2. I wonder if he was at a bar. I'd have to check that out and see what the scene was.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not. You know what? It's time to get to Stranger Things Season 1, our overview. We did the recap. That was fun. But this is where we're just going to kind of dig a little deeper into this, like I said earlier, global phenomenon. Overnight. It was an overnight success. Season 1 dropped in 2016. And I remember that weekend. I remember I was working for Big Boy's Neighborhood. in LA, and I remember all of us start texting each other about this Stranger Things show.
Oh
And
yeah, I
we
remember
knew.
that too.
And that's what we talked about. And it was crazy. And it was this out of nowhere show that had a fictional town, Hawkins, Indiana. It's actually filmed in Jackson, Georgia. Have you ever been to Jackson, Georgia?
You know what? I'm not sure. I've spent some time in my childhood, but again, I grew up in Indianapolis, and so we went down to Alabama, Florida when I was a kid for vacations and stuff. So I'm not exactly sure which area we were in, but I remember what it looked like. I remember the landscape, and really, I mean, other than like when you get into like the marshes of Florida and like that kind of look, it's still very reminiscent of my childhood in Indianapolis. Like I still look at it and say, that feels like my childhood.
I'll just say it. If you haven't been to Jackson, Georgia, but you've been to any small town suburb in the 80s, you've been to Jackson, Georgia, because that's what it was. It looked so familiar to all of us until Will Byers vanishes. And then things get a little wild. 11 showed up. She's been ripped out of a sci-fi novel. The whole thing starts coming down to where it's Steven Spielberg and Stephen King colliding with a John Carpenter synth-filled soundtrack, really. And what 80s kid, like seriously, what 80s kid was not going to get caught up with all this nostalgia and this feeling,
Yeah, a couple of things stood out to me. When I first saw it, I remember 2016. I remember we were just moved back to Utah, and we were in like a tiny little 2-bedroom apartment while we were trying to sell one house and buy another house. So we were just kind of like crammed in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much to do. I was there with a 2-year-old taking care of my son most of the time. And and then that show came on. I was like, yes, something to watch. Like I was excited. And my first thought was very reminiscent of my favorite show, X-Files.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're talking about weird paranormal things. I'm loving this, the vibe. And rewatching it for the recap too, the same thing that struck me was, that 80s nostalgia, everything. They did such a good job of not making it kitschy 80s. Like, I know you watch like Meet the Goldbergs, sitcom, and they really kind of like play up the 80s. I mean, everything's a little bit brighter and a little bit more like big hair, and they really play it up, kind of like if you were to have an 80s party and everybody dresses up. So they really go all out. This show didn't do that. It was very much like, okay, this is familiar to me. Joy Spires' home with the wood paneling and the old couches. Hopper's asleep on his like old, what is that, like knitted couch?
Yeah. You get the rotary
those
phone.
Like feelings.
Rotary phones. I mean, you know what? The Duffer Brothers, they're the ones who created this whole thing. We didn't really talk about the Duffer Brothers in our recaps or anything, but they are the genius minds behind this. And they pitched this show as Stephen King meets Steven Spielberg. It's a mix of horror and heart. Really, the nostalgia. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to tap into my age. I'll say my age because I'm not going to put yours out there. But they knew how to tap into that what we liked. I even joked with my wife the other day. I said, you know what? There's going to be a Stranger Things remake in like 2050, and it's going to be set in 2020. And it's going to hit the same way. But this show did hit other people, other genres of people.
Demographic.
It did hit other age groups.
Yeah.
So I don't think that is the only thing that kept it popular was the nostalgia, because there's other people that are outside of my age range, both older and younger, who both love this show. So it's one of those things. It's like a phenomenon. That's the only word I can come up with.
Yeah, it hit at the right time where people were looking at the 80s as kind of vintage. Like it's, something that throws back and kind of circles back to the same fashions and things like that. So I think when it started up, people were like, oh yeah, 80s vintage. They liked that. And they, if they do a remake and they talk and it goes back to 2020, at least they won't have to work as hard to have the different characters and groups that are always doing different things to communicate with one another.
Yeah, right.
They had to work real hard. And I put a note about that in that the walkie-talkies, even just like straight out the gate, episode 1, season 1, when the teacher, Dr. Clark, he has like the ham radio and he's like, this will reach all the way to Australia. You know, he's like setting it up that these radios, these walkie-talkies that the kids are using are going to be a pivotal and necessary tool throughout the entire series for them to be able to communicate with each other all the time.
I think in the 2050 remake, I think the kids are just going to have like iPads and they're going to be in their own room. And they're just going to be playing Roblox instead of D&D. Yeah. It's not going to be Dungeons and Dragons. It's going to be a bunch of kids with a screen in front of them. But the Dungeons and Dragons thing and the 80s and the nerd, that was the easiest way to establish what this show was kind of about from the very beginning scene. That they're playing a D&D game. And it's like, if you look at that scene now, you're like, everything in this show is right here.
I thought the same thing. I did. I was like, we cannot not talk about, especially because as I started to think about it, and I did watch it all for the recap, and I might be missing something out there. So if you're like huge Stranger Things fan and you know the answer to this question, please write it in because I may have missed something. Do the scientists have a name for the creatures? Do they call them anything? Because we only know the creatures from the Upside Down. We only know the Upside Down.
Yeah.
We only call it that. And we only use the name Demogorgon. All of that comes from D&D. All that comes from the kids. And that's how we, the audience, knows everything. We call it those things. So I was thinking about it, and I could not remember a single time that I remember the scientists ever saying a different name.
I don't either. Especially not in season 1, for sure.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it happens in season 1 at all. But I can, let me see. I can remember.
Or the mind flip, too. That comes from D&D.
Yep. Oh, you know what? There is one difference I could think of in season 1, and that is the Upside Down, because Dustin calls it the Shadow of Veils from the book. And then they... Oh. So there is a little bit of difference there, but I don't know, Upside Down may be in D&D too, but that was just a nickname.
Well, that's when they flip the board over and they're in the Upside Down, right?
Yep, he's going through the guide and he finds the Shadow of Veils, and it's the same thing as the Upside Down. They flip the board over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you, that scene, the D&D opening scene, that's the very first scene that they all filmed. The Duffer Brothers were nervous about the kids' chemistry. I'm going to say they nailed it. Like right out of the gate, they nailed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy to me that was the very first scene that they did.
It's like bonding. Their little bonding scene. I love that. And that Mike mentions to his mom, they were playing for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Just brings you back to when like pre-video games and these like worlds that were created in video games. This is what the kids were doing. Like maybe the nerdy kids. Yeah. I'll grant you that. But that you could play a game like that with your friends for 10 hours straight. How fun. I wish I had played D&D and I've never played it, but it sounds so fun.
Hey, we can get a D&D group together. Why don't we do that?
Yeah. Somebody needs to teach me how to play. I love the callbacks to folklore and mythology. Obviously, I'm super into that stuff. If you listen to Practically Magic or, any of my other stuff, you know that's like a huge thing for me. So in Celtic folklore, there being a lot of references to the Anuvan or the other world, which is in that realm, in that folklore, you can literally be walking in the forest, walking anywhere, even like arrive on an island from a boat. And without even knowing it, you can step into another world where time and space is different. And so when I first saw this show, probably way back in 2016, when I first saw it, that was what came to my mind, was the Upside Down being a place that somehow exists in the same place as the present world we understand, but it's just not quite there.
Yeah. And no spoilers, but they do dive into that thought later on in later seasons. So it does kind of play into it. I love that aspect.
It goes with your mind too, because you're like, wait, so how is this existing in the same reality? And yet, like, so when the creature took Will, where did it come from, and then where did it go, and how does it exist in the real world and also in the upside down without going through? Where's the portal? Where's the it just makes you question everything.
What about the D&D game? Did you see that had real life relations to one another? Demogorgon, is that a real thing? Like, what is that? What are the demons that they did encounter? Are there real life, alternatives to that? So I want to hear some of that from your perspective.
Well, I mean, to that point, in the rewatch, it's so interesting to go back and rewatch it now that you've seen like all the way up to, like I said, we watched season 5, episode 1. Like we're way beyond all of this. So to go back and do episode 1 of season 1 and watch Will, tiny little baby Will with his cute little eyes and his cute little bowl haircut. It's so cute. They're facing the Demogorgon, right? In that game that you talked about. And and it's Will who has to roll the dice, and either he has to do a 13 or more if he's going to fireball it, or he could have cast a protection spell. But he rolls the dice, they lose it, and then the last thing he says to Mike before he bikes away, and then of course he's going to be disappeared after that. But he says, I rolled a 7, the Demogorgon got me. And man, rewatching it now, knowing everything that happens, it was just like, oh my gosh, they just like told the whole story right there in the first scene.
They did.
Incredible.
They really did. It's fascinating to me how humans use demons to explain the unknown. It's the same thing here at Hawkins, the Upside Down. It's the unknown. Another thing about the Upside Down and you saying it was all in the same place, it reminds me of like time travel movies, trying to figure out, well, what about this? And then it does make you ask a bunch of questions. There's some laws of physics broken. I think that's the fun of it though, right?
Yeah, and we see this so much in so many different storytelling. The Wizard of Oz, right? Like, where is Oz? You somehow it's a different place, but it's not. I mean, that's the stories that we've been telling for centuries. I mean, that's why I love the folklore and where that comes back to that, because like you could just walk through a doorway, or you could walk through anything and end up in another world and not even know it, right? But but the thing that I notice about those stories is, and like the Wizard of Oz, is someone will have a whole adventure, live a whole, the Chronicles of Narnia, just thought of another one, have a whole adventure, have a whole lifetime, have a whole, hero's journey. But then when they make it back to their regular life or the regular world, it's been like an hour.
Yeah.
Like time and space don't necessarily follow the same rules in different places. I haven't seen that yet with the Upside Down in Stranger Things. As far as I know, time exists the same.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a whole lot of play there. But could you imagine if they did? Can you imagine how the series, like how that would have gone if they had been like having these whole adventures with Vecna and like the Upside Down and everything going on there, and then come back and something that they did there impacts something in the future.
You might be
in the real world.
You might be onto something, because think about this, and I'm not sure if this happened all in season 1, but I know there are multiple references to the movie Back to the Future in Stranger Things.
Yes.
So you might be onto something. We're gonna have to save this out and see what happens, but I think you could really be onto something with that thought. Like, that's
interesting. Yeah, and I've been reading fan theories and stuff, which are awesome and great. And you can take them out with a grain of salt, because it's fun to listen to hear what they have to say. But then you're like, I have to forget that too, so that I can focus on what's really happening. But I've seen some really amazing fan theories where it's like, what if Will never left the Upside Down? He's still there. What if this is all entirely a D&D game that the kids are playing?
Oh my gosh.
Like, all in their heads, all an adventure that they made up.
Oh my gosh. You mean pulling the old It was all inside of a snow globe. From the
Right.
old, yeah. What was that
I
show?
hope not. It's
What
been
show was
referenced
that?
all the time. Yeah, what was that from? I don't remember. It was all
Saint
in the snow.
Elsewhere. Saint Elsewhere was this great show. Went on for a couple seasons, and then you find out that the whole thing happened inside of this snow globe that this little girl had. And you're like, wait, what?
Well, you
Yeah,
know,
that's a
people are
spoiler
still
alert.
talking about the show Lost, and people are still talking about, like, were they all dead? What was that island? There's that show had a lot of like time travel and otherworldly, and where are those people exactly? And some people aged and some people didn't, and why? And I don't even know. I watched Lost and I still don't know. I'm still
We
lost.
we should add that to our list. We should do Lost because I've
Yeah.
seen Lost at least 5 times, and I've seen it 2 times chronologically. Somebody out there years ago put Lost chronological order, scene by scene. I've watched it that way too. I am all
Wow.
about some Lost. I've talked to Maggie, I've talked to a couple of these people from the show. We'll talk about Lost. Let's get
Throw
back to
that forward.
let's get back to the Stranger Things one. Have you ever had an experience where you went through a portal or something like that, like you're talking about?
I am obsessed with portals. I'm obsessed. I truly believe that there is an energetic shift that happens when we walk through any kind of portal. And I mean doorways.
Mm.
I don't know if I've shown you, but I have a series of paintings that I did that's not finished. It's in a process. But I took so many pictures of doorways, archways, bridges, staircases when I went on my pilgrimage in England.
Yeah. Okay.
Obsessed with portals, and I call it Portals, my series of paintings that I did, because truly, and this isn't just Celtic folklore, but this is, across the board. I'm sure you can go into every culture and find some references to portals, to doorways, to crossing a river being a barrier, right?
Mm.
Anything that's a barrier, that means you're crossing from one realm into another. And I mean, why does it happen neurologically? What happens in our brain when we walk from one room to another? Say you're going from the living room to the kitchen. You walk in there and you go, why was I here?
Yeah.
What was it that I was getting? Why does that happen? Think about it. You walked through a doorway. You walked through a portal. You walked through a space where one space was meant for something and that space is meant for something else. And your brain completely shifts. That's real. That's not like magical, Hollywood, whatever. That's real.
You got me.
Right?
I usually chalk it up to ADHD, but you got me thinking now, like maybe
There's
it's not.
something no, they've studied it too. I mean, there's something neurological that happens where your brain has a certain frequency that it's on when it's in a room for a purpose. Like if you're in the kitchen, your purpose there is to cook and to eat food and whatever.
Yeah.
But when you walk into a living room, your brain shifts because the purpose of that room is different. So if you were walking into the living room to get your phone or something, but you were in the kitchen when you thought of it, you have to go back to the kitchen to remember what it was that you were trying to get.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible. I think that's just one example of how shifts and things can happen. And yeah, there's a ton of different ways you can look at that. But definitely, I'm obsessed with portals.
That's fun to think about. That's really fun to
Yeah.
think about. What was
Oh
your
yeah,
favorite?
and if you
Okay.
look, if you notice, there are kind of these little hints to portals, and I don't know if that's conscious or if that's something that the words are not coming.
Yeah.
The Duffer Brothers, I don't know if they were like conscious about doing that, but you'll notice that they put some emphasis on doorways and things like that in Stranger Things. There was one scene where they were looking for Will in episode 1, and you're seeing it from inside Byers' castle.
Yeah.
Where it's inside the castle and you're looking out through the doorway at Jonathan and Joyce, who are calling for Will, right? I just noticed that, and I was kind of making notes of like all the different times in the show. If you notice, portals, doorways, windows, mirrors, things are emphasized.
I love that. Great point. I'm gonna have to start looking for that. Who's your favorite character or favorite episode from season 1?
Oh, So glad you asked.
Yeah,
I would say Dustin has to be my favorite.
Dustin.
I love that they wrote in his condition
Yes.
into the script and into his character. And I don't know, he's kind of the comedy relief, super lovable, and I don't know, he's just my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, he really does. What is that that he has? It's something with his teeth, and it's got a crazy
Oh,
name. Uh,
something dis dysplasia. I'm gonna look it up because
yeah,
I
but
don't want to say.
Gaten Matarazzo. That's his name. It's
Yes,
cleidocranial dysplasia. That's what it was. It was written
yes.
into the show. It was written into the show by the Duffer Brothers to raise awareness. I don't think I'd ever heard of it. I don't think I'd ever heard of it before.
You know, we probably know people that have had it. I mean, I don't know how rare it is, but like we probably come across people not even realized and wouldn't have realized. And so great for the show to put that out there so that when people do come across people with it, they're super aware. They're just
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, like Dustin on Stranger Things.
like Dustin,
Nope.
exactly. And they made him a cool character, a cool kid, all that kind of stuff. He grows up real fast. He starts dropping the F-bombs later on seasons, but this one they're all
And I
still the
love him for
kids.
that too.
Yeah, yeah, but I think
Can't help it.
I think he is a really strong character, and all the kids in this Millie Bobby Brown as
Mm.
11. Apparently, she nailed the audition in front of the Duffer Brothers, and they were like, "Yep, that's our pick." Uh, she's still crushing it out there today doing stuff, and
I know.
I think she really only got better as it all went on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just the best to go back and rewatch again season 1 after all the seasons that have come out. Go back season 1 and you see her as that little tiny girl and she's just in the zone. The stare that she gives
Yeah,
when she first arrives at Benny's diner and he's talking to her and she's just like silent and staring at her with those big brown eyes, just, kills me.
Finn
Kills
Wolfhard.
me.
Finn Wolfhard as Mike comes out of the gate, crushes it too.
Mhm.
He's they're believable. That's the crazy thing. These are kids at the time of filming this, and every one of them in there is totally believable to me. Finn. You had Gayton, Caleb McLaughlin. He plays Lucas. Uh,
Yeah.
they
Their
all
chemistry
crushed it.
together. Yeah, when they're sitting on the couch and Hopper's interviewing them, like trying to find Will, and the three boys are just like fighting, and Hopper can't get a word in, and every time he asks a question, they start like picking at each other and fighting with each other, and it's arguing. I watched that scene as a mom of three boys, and I was like, this is so familiar to
Yeah,
me. It's almost triggering.
that's funny. And Hopper, played by David Harbour, he's another incredible actor and fills this role perfectly. They couldn't cast a better person than him. He was going through some hard times before he got cast as Hopper.
Mm,
That's, down low, just desperate, just going through some mental stuff. And him cast as Hopper gave him an arc in life. Like it really
yeah.
did. I have seen, multiple interviews and stuff about that. And I think that's also incredible that a fictional story by the Duffer Brothers gave this man basically a reason to live in some ways.
Yeah.
I think that's really telling to the storytelling again, and to the writing, the acting, all of it. But he's incredible too. Who else are we leaving out for the actors for this?
Yeah. Well, who stands out for you, like top
Oh,
of the cream of the crop?
cream of the crop for me, and it comes from a specific episode in season 1, and that's episode 3, Holly Jolly. This is the one that makes cultural moments galore.
Yep.
It's the Christmas lights.
Yep.
Joyce Byers' Winona Ryder, to me,
Yeah.
is the standout. She's in full panic mode. Everybody thinks she's losing her mind, but
No, she's
basically,
crazy.
but honestly, she's just got a mother's intuition to know that her son is still alive.
Oh my gosh,
So
yes.
what's she do in this
There's-
episode? She strings up the Christmas lights all over the house, paints letters on the wall. Will spells out run from the upside down. This is all nightmare fuel right here to me. All of this happening on set and behind the scenes, Winona so committed to Joyce's character that she wrote pages of backstory for her. She wanted Joyce to feel real. She wanted it to be a single mom who's been through hell and refuses to give up.
Yep.
Her desperation's real. Like, that's crazy to me. This episode also gave us a great hashtag. Hashtag justice for Barb. Became a cultural meme phenomenon here because Barb disappears. You know, it's wild. But yeah, Winona to me crushed this season. And I think she rubbed off on everybody else too. I think it really did. When you got somebody over there writing pages of backstory, it would be hard for you as a young actor wanting to maybe do this for a career to not look across there and say, I better learn from her.
Yeah. Yeah, she really gives, and again, this isn't just her, it's the whole vibe of the show, I think, is realistic in that as a single mom trying to raise these boys, trying to work enough to, so they can survive. I mean, you just feel it. You feel the exhaustion and the realness. I mean, she's not, I don't know. She's not all dolled up. She definitely is like this mom. You get this vibe that she's like the real mom, like the real single mom trying to make it work. And it gives me this throwback to, I love sitcoms. I know you do too.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help myself, but it gives me, Roseanne. Roseanne was my favorite, my favorite sitcom growing up, but I loved that they didn't pretty anything up. Do you know what I mean? Like, they showed a real American lower middle class family, like trying to survive one bill at a time, just trying to make their bills that month, kind of a family.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vibe I got. Like Joyce and Jonathan, the whole reason that they didn't know Will was missing until the next morning was because Joyce was working a shift and Jonathan decided to work a shift too. And she gets mad at him because she's like, we're not supposed to work shifts at the same time. And he's like, I'm just trying to earn some more money. And you just feel it. You feel it. It's real.
That desperation with fighting monsters makes this place almost miserable. But at the same time, we want to be there. We want to be in Hawkins. Like we as a viewer,
salt of the earth, people.
Yeah, as a viewer, you want to help somehow. You want to get in the Hawkins and you want to help. You feel like you're a fly on the wall watching this stuff happen, and you're like, oh my gosh, no, you got to do this. But I think that's part of it. That's part of the whole appeal is that you feel like you're a part of it. We put ourselves into the posters for the recap, and I look at those and I'm like, it looks like we were in the show.
Yeah, I'm not sure it even really looks like me, but I'll go with it.
Not me either, but like it's close enough.
Yeah, those iconic things. The Eggo waffles, and Eleven's obsession with Eggo waffles. I totally relate. I think I had an obsession with Eggo waffles when I was that age too.
Yep.
So relatable while also being just an absolute break from reality completely.
Oh yeah. And we didn't get into some of the other characters, but they become more prominent in the other seasons. And I think we should do this for season 2, 3, and 4. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we could talk about Nancy, Jonathan, Joe Keery's Steve. What a flip in an arc of a character. One of the biggest flips.
Was not likable in season 1.
And now,
I'm like, what a jerk.
By season 5, you're like, oh my God, everybody's bowing down to this guy, but it doesn't take long to see this incredible arc. I think it's one of the craziest arcs in a TV character's history, really, to see him go from what he is in season 1, and we won't spoil the rest of it, but yeah, I want to get into him a little bit deeper. But Stranger Things season 1, like, it's one more time, cultural phenomenon, once in a lifetime, call it all of those things. You know, we hear that a lot these days too, once in a lifetime, but this might have actually been one of those that doesn't come around very often. It doesn't come around that a show can make you feel this way. And you know what? It doesn't come around where I talk about a show for this long. So
that you can have conversations last almost an hour for just one season. And that's why we wanted to do this deep dive into it. Not just so that you can learn about the show. You know, listeners, we know you've seen it. We don't want to like do that for you, but I am hoping people will give us their stuff. Like, I want to hear their favorite characters and why. I want to hear their thoughts. I want an answer to my question whether or not the scientists actually named the creatures themselves. And I have one more question for fans. Because we're talking about season 1, I want to know, because we know what happens later, right? And I'm if you don't, I'm spoiling something, so just FYI. So we know that Vecna or One or Henry gets pushed into that other dimension. He's in that other dimension we call the Upside Down, right? I want to know, were the monsters like the Demogorgon already there when he got there? Or are they somehow his creation? And if they were already there, is he just using his powers to get into all their minds and use them to his will? Is that what's happening? Because I'm not totally clear on that, and I want listeners to write in. I want to know what you know. Give me your stuff.
I love that. I'll throw a theory out there for you right now, since the Duffer Brothers love to pull from all the other 80s stuff and all that. Maybe, just maybe, Vecna is similar to Pennywise the Clown from It, and he feeds off the fear. And D&D Demogorgons and all that stuff, that would be the biggest fear of those kids. That's their biggest thing in their life. So maybe he's got some similar powers to Pennywise. They like that Stephen King. They like the Stephen King stuff, and that's Pennywise's, that's his whole gimmick, you know. He feeds off the fear. So there's a crazy theory for you. I don't know, it's probably already out there.
I can see that making sense, because I've been asking myself why he can make himself look like he looks in the later seasons. So we'll get to that. We'll throw that forward to our next episode.
Let's wrap this one up. Hit us up with those answers to the questions. Parallel frequencies. That looks like what we're rolling with. We'll probably have an Instagram channel, something out there soon. You'll see all this on our own channels. Just be on the lookout and hit that subscribe button for us. We'd appreciate it. That was fun.